What up? Takeo washisu. Nah. I bet woke culture has gotten on your very last nerve. And the best way to resist it is by smashing that like button and sharing this video with your friends to boost that algorithm. On this episode, we are going to reveal how a secret and powerful entity is manipulating ideology to extract money from women and children.
No women, no kids.
One of the major catalysts for the rise of woke culture is Chinese social media platform TikTok.
I've been trying to figure out a way to introduce Pride Month to my students, my preschoolers, who are 4 and 5-year-olds.
The fact that classical music, which is really the music of 18th century Western European cis straight white male composers, is valued as the highest form of art music in America is an example of white supremacy.
You and I both know that you are capable of enjoying the rain and frolicking freely without filming it and then posting it to TikTok. Why is it so important to all of you to treat us like we don't matter?
The perfect hub to launch an all-out attack on American democracy, causing a potentially irreversible epic fail, and based on what we found, possibly even the next American Civil War. But first, we need to figure out just what side of this war the US has been on until present day. And to do that, allow me to introduce our phrase of the day.
Drum roll, please, honeybee.
Drum sounds.
The woke industrial complex. The Godfather, the most cinematic display of toxic masculinity.
Finance is a gun. Politics is knowing when to pull the trigger.
2017 gave America the perfect ambassador for CRT, which in turn fueled the rise of the new left. Fresh on the heels of the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, on International Women's Day, up popped this undeniably symbolic statue of the fearless girl. Whereas Me Too and BLM were a gathering of the troops, the fearless girl was the first shot heard round the world as ideology, politics, and financial institutions all became one entity. This was more than just a pull the trigger. This was a goddamn RPG launched by the woke industrial complex, yo. Strategically and symbolically, placed right in front of the charging bull of Wall Street, Fearless Girl represented a worthy challenger to the masculine, dominant capitalism. Tagged with the sign, "Know the power of women in leadership. She makes a difference." Feminists jumped all over this like bees on honey, voicing overwhelming support. Little did they know, Fearless Girl had a very dark secret.
No, I don't think we'll be telling them that.
You see, Fearless Girl was actually part of a clever PR campaign put forth by Wall Street investment firm State Street Global, who earlier that year were in the middle of a nasty lawsuit by female employees for,
wait for it, wait for it, wait for it,
Wait for it.
unequal pay.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Not only did the Fearless Girl statue take the heat off their lawsuit, but the woman they hired to create the statue was sued by State Street for making unauthorized copies of the statue itself.
Cagas. Eres una mierda. Me cagas.
Soon after that, they created the Gender Diversity Exchange Traded Fund under the ticker SHE.
That's clever.
And with that, several major corporations followed suit in what would be an all-out scramble for the almighty female consumer dollar under the guise of gender diversity and female empowerment. And with that, woke capitalism began to take form. Fun fact, at $20 trillion spent annually, women make up 85% of the entire consumer market, which could explain the large influx of feminist literature, female empowerment, and girl power in entertainment and film over the past decade.
The triggers are anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
But I'd say it's another way to control women. And if you're doing nothing, then you're part of the problem.
I need you to fix his suit.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be. When it fits a woman.
Because in this market, the dollar is female. And the consumer market needs women to believe that they are the victims. The push for the independent woman and boss bitch and death of the patriarchy in media is all in the name of dollar bills, y'all. Create enough stress, anxiety, and of course FOMO, and watch the money roll in.
Money, money, money. Must be funny in a rich man's world.
Research shows 32% of depressed people suffering from anxiety tend to be compulsive buyers. And the more anxious a person is, the more likely they are to be aggressive. In the words of the dynastical capitalist Baron Rothschild, the time to buy is when there's blood in the streets.
Well, I like that. As a mother of a teenage boy, I don't like that.
That's the most malicious thing I've ever heard.
That is
I
awful.
think that men should be frightened.
Clickbait for YouTube and TikTok videos, big sales for ebooks. Maybe the PR and the marketing firms weren't aware of the modern feminist mission to annihilate motherhood. Or maybe the bosses were so focused on their annual bonuses and their year-end sales reports that they didn't even bother to ask. Well, in the end, the woke industrial complex don't give a fuck about feminism, society, or your kids. All of this from a tiny little brass fearless girl. But you think the woke industrial complex is all about getting women to buy shit? Think again. Let's have a look at the LGBTQ+ community. If you're underage, no drinking, no smoking, no voting, no guns, no driving, and certainly no porn.
Hey! What the hell is that?
When you're young, your body and mind are still in the crucial stages of development. Parents allowing their children to engage in these things could have serious physical and psychological repercussions, not to mention allegations of child abuse. But in the good old US of A, under the influence of the new left, the unthinkable is happening. Children are being encouraged to take puberty blockers, and a small minority are being recommended for gender reassignment surgery. The parents, well, what they're allowing their children to do is being labeled as progressive parenting.
What the hell is that?
This madness has gotten the attention of the LGBTQ+ community, and they are starting to speak out against it. Allow me to introduce you to one of the biggest reasons you clicked on today's video. How about that thumbnail, eh? Transgender YouTuber Blair White.
Damn!
Don't front, you totally thought she was a female. Blair is a former hardcore SJW, and at one point, she had enough of the woke bullshit and took the red pill, exposing many of the hypocrisies of woke culture and the new left. Taking kids to drag shows.
A drag for kids event in Dallas, Texas. Social media is furious because pictures and videos have emerged of drag queens performing in this bar to underage children who are giving $1 bills to the drag queens. There's a sign in the back that says it's not gonna lick itself. How there was not a single adult in that building who was like, you know what? We're gonna have drag queens in front of kids, but maybe let's unplug the gigantic neon sign that's about sucking.
Parents forcing young boys to publicly change their gender in church.
There was a moment where the mom took Phoenix at 4 years old to a church, tried to make Phoenix come out as LGBT in front of everyone.
Do you want to tell everyone if you're a boy or a girl? Phoenix would like you to know that she's a girl and she prefers she and her pronouns.
And even a special someone on TikTok who wants to send free puberty blockers to kids.
So my friends and I had an idea, sending out our extra prescriptions around the country. Sounds completely safe. If you need hormones, I'm working with the distribution network to get you access. Everything is free, no questions asked.
Highly recommend you watch her channel. And if you're considering sending your kids to study abroad or immigrating together with them, you might want to consider heading to New Zealand or Switzerland instead. They're still neutral, right? Because to send them to an American school, if they show even the slightest deviation in gender stereotypes, they'll be persuaded to switch sides. Girl to boy or boy to girl. What? You didn't think I'd utter that sentence without proof, did you?
Hold on to your butts.
Since 2017, the number of children diagnosed with gender dysphoria has more than tripled, all fronted with the backdrop of Trump's presidency, the rise of TikTok, and the birth of the fearless girl, ushering in the arrival of the woke industrial complex. Hey, you remember Dylan Mulvaney from our last episode and her podcast on her girlhood experiences?
And we're on day 167 of girlhood.
Mr. Hollywood, I'm right here.
Hollywood, zoom in on that.
Well, she must be doing something right, as she beat out millions of naturally born women for the privilege to interview the President of the United States of America.
Oh, hell no.
Wanna guess what they talked about?
Do you have any messages to the families of trans folks that are seeking, options for their children, but are struggling to find resources? Do you have a message to those parents?
Wait a minute, I detect a bit of wordplay fuckery afoot. When you say the families of trans folks who are seeking options for their children, wouldn't that mean that the children are the trans folks? Or maybe she's trying to normalize the idea of trans children. Let's see how Joe Biden responds to that.
Yeah, I do. This is blood of your blood, bone of your bone. And it is, again, speaking to my son, he started a foundation, but it was for children. He's raised millions of dollars, this organization, to basically educate parents as to what they should not be afraid of.
Leave it to a politician to outword anything. So, by using his son's foundation as cover, Joe Biden has indirectly labeled any families of trans folk who refuse to seek resources or options for their children as potential abusers. But he didn't directly acknowledge trans children, nor did he deny them. Oddly enough, this interview popped up 3 weeks before the midterms. And guess who controls the Senate now? With the Democrats able to write legislation, the idea of normalizing trans kids can now be put into law. Let's keep it 100. The media is subconsciously indoctrinating people, yo. Kids,
alcohol is bad. You shouldn't drink alcohol. Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Now, are there any questions?
But trans strippers, that's good. Puberty blockers, that's okay. Ugh, the stench of hypocrisy masked by wokeism. So, what is their motivation? When in doubt, follow the money. Puberty blockers, average price $1,200 a month. Bottom surgery, average price $25,000. Top surgery, average price $10,000. The look on your face when I tell you that none of these prices include basic hospital fees?
Priceless.
Compare that to the long-running breast augmentation and cosmetic surgery market for women at $5,000 a pop, hospital fees included, and you can clearly see this new market will quickly overtake common cosmetic surgical procedures in the next few years. And yet, the so-called experts won't tell you.
Well, you're a medical professional.
I am a medical professional.
So you don't want to talk about the drugs that you give to kids, or?
I'm a physician and I use medication.
This motherfucker won't even say it's a drug, but instead shrouds it in a rainbow skittled bow, labeled with equality and human rights.
Show me the money.
So, after all this, you might ask, hey Sona, how can you prove that woke capitalism is actually pushing child 1 to 0 surgeries? Well, congratulations, my curious friend. You are now officially woke as fuck. That will have to be left to another episode entirely, because the evidence will point to places you never even expected. Movements that mask themselves in the furtherment and better treatment of disenfranchised people, but act in a manner closer to militarization with weapons much different than you think. So prepare yourself, as we'll show you the new target of racism.
And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced.
And in our final episode, we'll show you how the woke capitalists are using this new racism to stop you from doing the one thing that can change society forever. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and grab yourself a Haltisa t-shirt at the link down below, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace!